And welcome back. Joining me now is Northwest Arkansas Business Journal editor Paul Gatling. Paul, welcome to the program. It's good to have you back on with us. You had a big interview with John Tyson, grandson of the founder of Tyson Foods and current chairman of the board. But you guys did not talk chicken or meat or beef. You talked golf. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, John Tyson can talk some golf, and rightfully so. He's excited about his golf club, the Blessings Golf Club in Johnson, just outside of Fayetteville. People know the Johnson exit in between Springdale and Fayetteville. It's about a mile west of that in Johnson. His golf club, the University of Arkansas, is hosting at Blessings the NCAA Men's and Women's Golf Championships in about a month. The women from May 17th, 22nd, men 24th through the 29th. This is a major amateur golf tournament, and that's really been a vision of Mr. Tyson's, to host a tournament like this at Blessings that he founded and opened and is the owner of, opened in 2004. And they've had an SEC event and had an NCAA men's regional and had some fairly large junior events, but nothing like what they're going to have in a month with live national coverage from the Golf Channel. Golf Channel's sending their lead golf producer, Brant Packer, to produce the coverage for a couple of weeks. So there's going to be national television coverage at the tournament. And to enhance the fan experience, Mr. Tyson announced last week that he and his family and Tyson Foods will be underwriting the ticket costs. That means free attendance for every single day of the golf tournament. So he really wants the golf course and the community of Northwest Arkansas to put its best foot forward, and hopefully the Razorbacks will be there. I mean, you think of it like the Final Four. It's something that the golf teams will still have to qualify for. I think there'll be, I'm not entirely sure, 16 teams for men, 16 for women, but they'll have to go through regional qualifying. So if they are there, I think that would only enhance the crowd turnout. But even if they aren't, it's a big-time event with some of the world's top amateur golfers who are competing collegiately in the U.S. who will be there. So it's just another quality of life amenity in Northwest Arkansas, and Mr. Tyson's very excited to have that event at his course. And
I know you, being the golf fan that you are, will not only be there, you'll probably be volunteering to caddy for someone if you get the chance, I would predict.
Would not want to carry a golf bag on that course. It'll be all I can do to walk that course. I am very anxious to see how some of those players compete at the Blessings. It has got the reputation of being a very, very tough test of golf.
All right, we have a new basketball coach at the University of Arkansas. Eric Musselman gets a 5-year, $12.5 million deal. Is that a big-time coaching contract to you in this day and age?
Well, I don't know about if it is to me. It probably is to Coach Musselman, who I think was making about $1 million at Nevada, so it's more than double that. You know, in the world of college athletics these days, the football contracts are so bloated, so let's just take those out of the equation. Basketball contracts, I think Mike Anderson's initial contract when he was hired in 2011 was just a few hundred. It was over $2 million, but I don't think it was quite $2.5 million, and he had what I would consider a better college coaching resume than Coach Musselman, who's now the new coach at $2.5 million a year. So we'll see. Obviously, it's incentive-laden for postseason success, NCAA tournament success, which is the reason he's here coaching in the first place. You know, Arkansas has tried a few other times since Nolan Richardson departed, tried with Stan Heath, tried with John Pelfrey, tried with Coach Anderson, now trying with Eric Musselman to rekindle that basketball greatness of the late 80s and early 90s that Nolan Richardson brought to the Razorbacks when they were one of the top programs in the country. So obviously you can't buy your way into that. You still have to recruit and all that other stuff that goes into it. But Coach Musselman has been a hit so far in the first week that he's been here, and everybody's excited, or seems to be if they're a Razorback fan, about what he might be able to do to the basketball program.
Well, he's undefeated at this point, and that feeds a lot of that frenzy. This past week, Fayetteville voters approved a $226 million bond issue to complete several projects, $74 million in street work, $37 million for police headquarters. But most interesting to me, $31 million for a cultural arts corridor Tell me a little bit about the Arts Corridor and what's at work there.
Well, that was one of the most widely discussed of the 10 ballot or the bond issues that Fayetteville citizens voted for. All of them passed overwhelmingly, between 65–75%, with the exception of the cultural arts corridor. I think it was 54% to 46 or something like that. But what you have here, the advocates say it's a downtown initiative that's going to take about 12 acres. Total 12 acres. It takes the Walton Arts Center parking lot, which is just a concrete prairie right now with about 290 parking spots. It's going to get rid of that and build a civic green space, gathering space for with art elements and that sort of thing, vendors and festivals, and then extend south to another 8 or 9 acres of a wooded area that's west of the public library, and turn that into somewhat of a nature attraction, nature preserve, and tie all that in down south to Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and that's your corridor. Of course, the proponents of that pointed to one word: parking. You're getting rid of almost 300 spaces of parking in downtown Fayetteville, and what would be most positively described as not having a good parking situation to begin with. And so, written into that bond proposal, they're not going to do anything to build that on the 3-acre site until they build a parking deck structure somewhere in downtown, hopefully close to Walton Arts Center, to keep those parking spaces downtown. So now the issue is, they've passed the bond issue. Now they have to build the parking deck before they can even get to the civic space. They've got about 3 spots, I think, lined out. One is land that's city-owned, one is land that's not city-owned, and one would involve tearing down a building. So now the decision is, where can we get that parking built? Hopefully start that in spring of next spring. That'll take about a year, get the parking deck completed, then focus on getting the civic space built where the Walton Arts Center parking lot is right now. So still going to be a lot of discussion about that cultural arts corridor even after the bond issue passed. But they do have the support of the Walton Arts Center Council. They have the support of the Diction Street Merchants Association, specifically because of that parking language that was written into the bond issue. There won't be anything done until there's a parking deck built somewhere in downtown Fayetteville. All
right, the newest Northwest Arkansas Business Journal issue is out. What can we find between the pages, Paul?
It's our banking and finance issue. We've got our annual lists ranking every bank that does business in the region, ranked by the metric of return on assets. That's the ROA ratio, which is a pretty popular metric to determine a bank's profitability. We've got that list divided by public banks and private banks. Our cover story is on one of the oldest family-owned banks in Arkansas, Generations Bank, which is the sole banking subsidiary of Herald Bank Shares Incorporated, which up until about a month ago was based in South Arkansas near Camden in Hampton. But as of March 1st, it is now the only banking company that is headquartered in Rogers. They applied for and got approved to relocate the charter from South Arkansas to Rogers, and I got the chance to sit down and visit with John Harrell, who's the 5th generation of the Harrell family to lead that bank, and now his son Max, who's a recent graduate of the University of Arkansas, is the 6th generation. He's been working there as a commercial lender for about a year now. So we've got a story on the bank and their success in Northwest Arkansas when they entered the market in 2010 up until now, and they're a growing financial concern and are excited about what the future holds. They opened a new branch in Fayetteville a couple of years ago. They'll break ground on a new banking center in Bentonville this summer. So that's our cover story. We've also got a Q&A profile of Lori Trogdon, who's the new CEO, Executive Director of the State Bankers Association, and of course our Real Deals and our supply side with Kim Souza, and lots of good stuff in the new issue. It'll be out on newsstands this week.
All right, he's Paul Gatling. He's editor of the Northwest Arkansas Business Journal. You did a great job for us, Paul. Thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Roby.